talked by this other guy who says that, hey, this stuff always works for me. That's why I say, think for yourself, little folks. Yo, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Is this thing on? Hey, these are the jokes. Beware of the dudes who don't like jabs and pokes. Cause when you can't laugh at yourself, you just end up crying. Think for yourself, little friend. Is it you that they like? Or is it the money you spend? Beware of the jerks who'd rather break than bend. And to question anything to them is just like dying. Yeah, it's like dying. Chair. No one seems to question all the claims out on the air. Oh, but the promises that are so damn tremulous. And I can't conceive the cash of creeps and cretins who continue to be so uncannily credulous. Yourselves, everyone. Don't believe what is said, but put your stock in what's done. Insist on all the facts, and then add up your own sum, or else the punch you might get won't be Hawaiian. Think for yourselves, one and all. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't beat up Peter if you're pissed at Paul. Don't fall for anything, yeah. And please don't drop the ball. Just be sure to do your who, what, where, when, and why. Just be sure to do your who, what, where, when, and why. Just be sure to do your who, what, where, when, and why. Yeah, Hawaiian. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey, it's Friday night. It's been 2 weeks. It's time for me to invade your homes and have another episode of the fantastic, the entertaining, the somewhat educational, and always Hrabarian 7 songs with me. Hi, George here. Welcome, everybody. Today's a very fun, special episode. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I figured let's have a year, and then maybe I can do this theme. Otherwise, I'll just be champing at the bit, which is the right word, by the way, champing, not chomping, but that's fine. Although I've been champing at the bit, but I didn't want to overdo it. It's finally time for me to do a bunch of Rush tunes, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, 7 Rush songs coming at you. But more specifically, songs that feature the incredible lyrics of Neil Peart, the one and only Neil Peart. Neil Peart, who I will argue, and we can have this conversation in a bar sometime when bars are open again and we're allowed to be next to each other. We can have this conversation. I would posit that Neil's lyrics, and I know this is going to be, I'm going to start out of the gate with some controversy, but I would say that Neil's lyrics are as good, if not even more impressive, than his percussive acumen. I know, and I'm saying that as someone who adores Neil Peart's drum parts. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of, we can get into it at some other point, but quickly, there's a ton of people that can play a lot of the songs he's composed. Not that that's the indicator for quality or anything, but there's not many people that can write lyrics like Neil Peart has, especially over the course of 40 years. We're just about a year plus after his passing, which is very sad, but we're not going to be sad today. We're going to be celebrating the unbelievable lyricism and lyrics and wordplay and references that Neil had throughout his whole career. Now, before I do the very first song, I want to explain why I chose these 7, which was damn difficult to do, because there are 40 years plus worth of songs, almost every single one of which has something of interest and is interesting to talk about and perform and do, and I know about 90% of them. So it was hard. The first rule I kind of put up on myself was I wasn't going to do a song that I've done before in 7 songs or in any kind of online setting. So that right away eliminated some really great tunes, specifically Limelight, which is some of his best lyrics. It's one of the best Rush tunes, I would say. But we talked about that in the Odd Time episode. Go back and check that one out. So I eliminated some songs. Mission, I'm not going to do Mission. That's a beautiful song with great lyrics. So that was number 1. Number 2, I wanted to show the breadth of his lyrics, writing from early stuff all the way up to the very last album, to show sort of the growth and development, and yet how some things remain consistent. And then I wanted to do stuff that maybe you didn't know. If you're a casual Rush fan, some deep cuts, but still that were very, very special and mean a lot to me personally, that I have some history with. So we're going to start out of the gate with one. Let's just toast before we start. Thank you for tuning in, as ever. Today is a little bit of fruit punch, Crystal Light, along with Wegmans Diet caffeine-free cola, because it's a party kind of Friday. Now, this is a song that I have performed live, but not in this context. I actually performed this live at the 21812 concert, which is a very, very close and wonderful memory that I have. Not close, but a wonderful memory that I have in my mind. With the Geologic Orchestra back in 2012, we did this particular song. This is one of my absolute favorites. I want to play it, and then I'll talk about it in a little bit after I've played it, just to get some songs happening. This is from 1982. The album is called Signals, and the song is called Subdivisions. Sprawling on the fringes of the city, geometric order, an insulated border, in between the bright lights and the far unlit unknown. Growing up, it all seems so one-sided, opinions all provide divided, the future pre-decided, detached and subdivided in the mass production zone. Nowhere is the dreamer or the misfit so alone. Subdivisions in the high school halls, in the shopping malls, conform or be cast out, in the basement bars, in the backs of cars, be cool or be cast out. Any escape might help to soothe the unattractive truth that the suburbs have no charms to soothe the restless dreams of youth. Drawn like moths we drift into the city, timeless old attraction, cruising for the action, lit up like a firefly just to feel the living night. Some would sell their dreams for small desires and lose the race to rats, get caught in ticking traps, and start to dream of somewhere to relax their restless flight. Somewhere out of the memory of lighted streets on quiet nights. Subdivisions in the high school halls, in the shopping malls, conform or be cast out, in the basement bars, in the backs of cars, be cool or be cast out. Any escape might help to soothe the unattractive truth that the suburbs have no charms to soothe the restless dreams of youth. It's a wonderful example of Neil's using a title to sort of trick you right from the get-go. So it's Subdivisions, and it's like you think of, suburbs that are sort of, divided into different sections of towns and things like that. And he's singing about that, but he's also singing about the subdivisions that are within a culture, especially in like a high school culture or a youthful culture or a suburban culture. The groups, the little in-groups, out-groups, the cliques. So those are the subdivisions he's actually talking about. I'm going to say singing because I'll probably reference, Geddy, of course. But what Neil is kind of talking about is these subdivisions. This has one of the most amazing sort of alliterative lines there. Any escape might help to smooth the unattractive truth that the suburbs have no charms to soothe the restless dreams of youth. That's pretty friggin' great writing. I mean, just in terms of its lyricism and in terms of it's a tongue twister in a way, but it's like an easy tongue twister. Any escape might help to smooth the unattractive truth that the suburbs have no charms to soothe the restless dreams of youth. It's amazing. It's a song that's a lot of it's in 7, much like Limelight. It goes between 7 and 6 and things like that. Other titles that he does that sometimes, something like Stick It Out, which I did 2 episodes ago, the drop D tuning episode. I did a song called Stick It Out, and you think Stick It Out. It's kind of a vulgar title. It's like someone exposing themselves or something, but it's having tenacity. He turns that trick. Roll the Bones, that's another one. Like, roll the bones, that's someone's talking about, a joint, rolling a joint or something like that. It's like, no, that's about throwing dice and seeing how your luck is going to work out. Superconductor, another song of Neil's, You think, oh, this is about electricity and something. No, it's about sort of the person that can make those connections, and can kind of drive you to the next point you want to get to. So it was really fun to play that for 21812 because we had the horn section. That lives on the web if you want to check out the Geologic Orchestra playing Subdivisions. It's a really fun arrangement done by Andy Cowell, who might be in the chat. I'm not sure if he's there. But, okay. Moving on to song number 2. And I wanted to include this one because it's epic, it's wonderful, but it also shows the span of learning, not learning, but the breadth of Neil's writing over his career. This is from 1979, off the album Hemispheres, which is a great record. Kind of two sides. One side is all sort of one story, and the other side has a couple epic songs on it. So Hemispheres, the suite, is on one side, and on the other side, back when albums had sides, is this song, and it's the trees. The trees. And this is sort of inspired by Lord of the Rings, the Ents. This is this idea of sort of trees being together, and the smaller trees are upset with the bigger trees because they're not providing enough sunlight. And it's a fantastical kind of crazy thing that's going on in the lyrics of it. This is when he's still writing less personally. I mean, much less personally, because this is about talking trees. It's more about a societal idea, like how do you deal with debates and things like that amongst people that have power and those that don't have power. And this is using talking trees as a bit of a thing. It's a wonderful thing. Now Rush has this knack to play chords and have that be the melody and the chord and the accompaniment at the same time. Normally something I don't like. Normally as a songwriter, if someone just writes a song that is just arpeggiated chords, that to me is very boring. The chords provide a structure for a melody. And yet Rush somehow gets away with having that kind of be your melody and your chords together. Alex Lifeson with his voicings get away with it. And this song in particular has a wonderful example of that. So there's a very fun section in the middle of this. I'll try to just dip in. There's a lot of instrumental sections to this, so I'm not going to do all of it, but I'm going to dip into the instrumental. There's a part that happens in 5. See if you can hear when that 5 starts happening. I'll be up here. I'll be doing that. And I'm going to start it by doing a song it's the only song that exists on one album. It's only on a live album. They never played it again, never recorded it again, never released it again. It's a little interlude that happens before Trees live on Exit Stage Left, called Brunsbane. Now, Brunsbane was a song that I adored as a kid. I wanted to learn this thing. I thought if I could ever play Brunsbane, that's all I would do. That's all I would do. I would sit in my room and I would play Brunsbane. When I got to college, my college roommate very kindly showed me how to do a bunch of it. And then you learn it and you're like, oh, okay, there's more to life than Brunsbane. But at the time, boy, it was pretty happening. It's named after Terry Brown, their producer, who they called Brun, or T.C. Brunzi. So that's that. So I'm going to start with Brunsbane, just a little bit of it, and then we'll go into the trees. And listen to the lyrics and listen to it's kind of silly, but it's kind of epic in its own wonderful way. So here we go. Trouble with the trees, for the maples want more sunlight and the oaks ignore their pleas. and the creatures all have fled, and the maples scream oppression, and the oaks just shake their heads. It's silly, but it's really great. It's just great. And then again, the whole instrumental section, how it relates to the lyrics, and there's not that many lyrics in it, which is also neat. That it's a very efficient song. Like in 2 or 3 albums previous, that would have been an entire side of a Rush album. It would have been a whole, side 1 of album number 6 would have been The Trees. And it would have been 7 parts and whatever. Here, Neil starts getting very efficient in his writing, or more efficient anyway, and he can give this tremendous saga of a tree, an ent dilemma amongst amongst these talking trees, and deliver it in just a handful of lines. It's really, really wonderful. It's really fun. Now, I did that song so I could do this next song to show you the breadth, like I mentioned, the spread of this guy's writing. So just 8 years later, which is insane to think this. 8 years later, they have an album called Hold Your Fire, which is all about, it's a themed album. It's all about instinct. They had this series of albums that sort of had themes to them. Power Windows is all about power. Presto is kind of like about magic. Roll the Bones is about luck. And Hold Your Fire was sort of about instinct. And there's a song on there called Open Secrets, which is about as far away from trees talking and trying to figure out how they're going to maintain sunlight as you can get. This is about personal, having a secret that is ruining your relationship, having a secret that's ruining your life, having a secret that you maybe even keep from yourself, or that people recognize and don't want to talk about. It's this idea of an open secret. Like, I know there's this thing the matter with you, and we just don't talk about it. We just don't talk about it. And how that ends up being rather unhealthy. So, again, it's a simpler structure, although the production of it is quite outstanding. It's very 80s, kind of has a lot of keyboards and stuff, but it's kind of brilliant. But when you tear up all the artifice off of it, all the production off of it, it's a lovely melody, and it's a very simple, sort of straightforward line. Neil does this wonderful thing that he'll take a line from someone else's work and he'll incorporate it into his piece. Here he takes a T.S. Eliot line from the Ballad of Prufrock. Is that what it's called? The Ballad of Prufrock?
the love song of J.R. Prufrock.
The love song of J.R. Prufrock. There's a line. I never meant what you're thinking. It's not what I meant at all. He takes stuff from Shakespeare and from Proust, and like he'll just take stuff and insert it and kind of make it his on some level. He always cops to it. He's never like just flat out saying, not admitting to it. But he uses it in inspiration. That happens in this song. So this is from 1987, from their album called Hold Your Fire, which I believe was the second Rush album I bought. This is called Open Secrets. At the time it went over my head. I was looking out the window. I should have looked at your face instead. It went right by me, just another wall. There should have been a moment when we let our barriers fall. I never meant what you're thinking. It's not what I meant at all. I guess we all have these feelings we can't leave unreconciled. Some of them burned on our ceilings, some of them learned as a child. The things that we're concealing will never let us grow. Time will do its healing. You've got to let it go. Closed for my protection, open to your scorn. Between these two directions, my heart is sometimes torn. I lie awake with my secrets spinning round my head. There's something that somehow escaped me, something you shouldn't have said. I was looking out the window, I should have looked at your face instead. I guess we all have these feelings we can't leave unreconciled. Some of them burned on our ceilings, some of them learned as a child. The things that we're concealing will never let us grow. Time will do its healing. You've got to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I find no absolution to my rational point of view. Maybe some things are instinctive, but there's one thing we could do. You could try to understand me, I could try to understand you. You could try to understand me, I could try to understand you. I guess we all have these feelings we can't leave unreconciled. Some of them burned on our ceilings, some of them learned as a child. The things that we're concealing will never let us grow. Time will do its healing. You gotta let it go. Let it go. I think you'd be hard-pressed to guess that was a Rush tune if you just heard it like that, which I think is kind of cool, which I think is really kind of cool. It's, again, the way he can incorporate the line, and it just makes it feel like it's just his. I never meant what you're thinking. That's not what I meant at all. Which is just, it's an Easter egg almost on some level for those that know that poem. If you're not familiar with that poem, check it out. It's really, really cool. I grow old, I shall wear my trousers rolled. Which people, I was just talking to Ms. Info about this, people misinterpret the last lines of that proof rock thing. They think that he's giving up, right? They think that he's done. And he's giving up, and he's going to just be resolved to be a small man, and he's going to be forced to roll up the cuffs of his pants because he is a smaller, older, crushed man. But no, the style at the time was that hipsters of the time would roll their pant legs up. So he's saying, I'm going to grow old, but I'm still going to be hip. I'm going to wear my trousers rolled. Isn't that cool?
Nobody puts proof rock in a corner.
Nobody puts proof rock in a corner. Now, like I said, I did not get, there's a ton of songs that I wanted to get to, but I had to choose only just a handful. And but I did want to mention a couple of great quotes. There are tons of tunes. Mystic Rhythms has this great line, the more we think we know about, the greater the unknown. It's a great line. Show Don't Tell has this line, you can twist perceptions, reality won't budge. It's very, very appropriate for what is happening today. Sometimes our big splashes are just ripples in the pool. That's from Emotion Detector. The song Mission I mentioned. We each pay a fabulous price for our visions of paradise. Dreamline has this great line, we're only immortal for a limited time. We're only immortal for a limited time. After Image, of course, suddenly you were gone from all the lives you left your mark upon. I performed that at a friend's funeral, and I did a little bit of Brunsbane up front, and it was one of the most difficult things I ever had to do in my life, but I'm so glad that I got to do it. Half the World is a great song. Half the world cries, half the world laughs, half the world tries to be the other half. From his final album, The Measure of a Life is a measure of love and respect, so hard to earn, so easily burned. That's from a song called The Garden. The song called Resist, which quotes Oscar Wilde a lot. You can surrender without a prayer, but never really pray without surrender. You can fight without ever winning, but never ever win without a fight. A couple more. Of course, Free Will, the brilliant song Free Will. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. I love it. And then the one that kind of, I guess, is the most key to Neil's character, which I mentioned during the Odd Time episode from Limelight. I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend. He had this great quote, which isn't from a song, but he just said this, even as a kid, I never wanted to be famous. I wanted to be good. It's a lovely line. He's written a series of books. I have one here called Traveling Music. Ghost Rider, The Masked Rider, Traveling Music, Far and Near, Far and Away, Far and Wide, and Roadshow. All wonderful travel logs, heartbreaking in some instances, inspiring in some instances, but brilliantly written, just prose writing, straight prose writing, and it's wonderful. Check those out. If you are a Rush fan, or if you're not a Rush fan, check them out, because they're really wonderfully written books. Song number 4 takes us into the 80s again. And this is a song that I snuck into, not a song of mine, but actually a commencement speech. I was fortunate enough to be voted to give the graduation speech in my high school. And I snuck in a line from this to give my 2 Rush fan friends, or 3 Rush fan friends in the audience, a little wink. Which is, again, one of the coolest lines here. This is a song called Territories. It's from Power Windows, and it's about borders and governments and stuff like that, and the pride that lives in nationalism and how kind of pointless it is. National pride is kind of like, eh. So there's this wonderful, they shoot without shame in the name of a piece of dirt, for a change of accent or the color of your shirt. Better the pride that resides in a citizen of the world than the pride that divides when a colorful rag is unfurled. So I quoted that last little part. I kind of snuck it in, and I talked about the pride that resides in someone wearing a certain color shirt. And it was nice. Right afterwards, my buddies were like, yeah, Rush, dude, which is very, very fun. So again, better the pride that resides in a citizen of the world than the pride that divides when a colorful rag is unfurled. Here it is from Power Windows. This is called Territories. between heaven and earth. Like the Chinese call the country of their birth. We all figure that our homes are set above other people than the ones we know and love. In every place with a name, they play that same territorial game, hiding behind the lines, sending up warning signs. The whole wide world, an endless universe, yet we keep looking through the eyeglass in reverse. Don't feed the people, but we feed the machines. Can't really feel what international means. In different circles we keep holding our ground. In different circles we keep spinning round and round and round. We see so many tribes overrun and undermined, while their invaders dream of lands they left behind. Better people, better food, and better beer. Why rule around the world when Eden was so near? Oh! Bosses get talking so tough. If that wasn't evil enough, we get the drunken and the passionate pride of the citizens along for the ride. The whole wide world, the endless universe, yet we keep looking through the eyeglass in reverse. Don't feed the people, but we feed the machines. Can't really feel what international means. In different circles we keep holding our ground. In different circles we keep spinning round and round and they shoot without shame in the name of a piece of dirt or a change of accent or the color of your shirt. Better the pride that resides in a citizen of the world than the pride that divides when a colorful rag is unfurled. Yet we keep looking through the eyeglass in reverse. Don't feed the people, but we feed the machines. Can't really feel what international means. In different circles we keep holding our ground. In different circles we keep spinning round and round and round. I just realized something about these lyrics while I was prepping this show. There's the line in the chorus, in different circles we keep holding our ground. In different circles we keep spinning round and round. The first time it's in different circles. The second time it's indifferent circles. Circles that don't care. I've known this song for 35 years, and there it is, in different circles. How great is that? And there's a lovely thing that's happening. Let's go to this camera over. We haven't even switched cameras yet, have we?
I have.
You have? Oh, good. I want to talk about, they do a wonderful key change at the modulation at the end. It's a hidden modulation. So the pre-chorus does this lovely riff. That kind of happens all the time. So it's C, D, C, D, A, C, D, C, D, F, right? Well, when they're doing it in the main body of the song, they end on the F. And then they go to the chorus, which is in C. A whole wide world, an endless universe. But you keep looking through the eyeglass in reverse. But the last time when they do it, they go to the F, and they end on the A. And now they go to a D. The whole wide world. So we're a step higher than we were previously. Previously it was here. A whole wide world, an endless universe, and now we're here. A whole wide world, an endless universe. It's this wonderful hidden modulation. So C, D, C, D, F, and you go to C. Whole wide world, or C, D, C, D, A, and you go to D. Whole wide world. Isn't that great? It's another one I didn't realize they did that until I was figuring out the chords a couple of years ago. And it's like, oh my gosh, the song ends a step higher than it started. Yay! All right, time to dive deep. Let's go back to the first camera if we can, because I'm going to use the keyboard a little bit here, and I want people to see what I'm talking about. So this is the song I'm most excited to play for you guys, because I think this has the most interesting significance, especially within the lifespan of the band Rush and the way it ended, the way the band sort of decided to stop touring, and then through Neil's death, sort of, obviously the band is done. You know, let me just do this for a second. This is from a 1982 album, and it was a song they had never performed live. They recorded it. It was on the Signals album. They never did it live until the final tour, which was 6 years ago that was now, which is the Back to Front tour. For those of you that didn't know, the final tour, what they did is they played all their songs in reverse chronological order. So the most current things were first, and as the set went on, they went backwards in order until they got back to actually a demo that they never actually even released. Or I guess they released it, but Garden Wall, something like that. I forget the name of the song. And the set changed as well. So the concert starts in your modern, 2015 setting, and as they start going back in their repertoire, the scenery would change to the settings that they had at the time. So all of a sudden there's a huge wall of amps, and then it gets all the way back in time to they're actually in a gym, and they have their amps up on chairs. It was wonderful. It was a brilliant idea that Geddy, the bass player, apparently came up with. So it was a wonderful tour. And you knew, as you heard a song, okay, they're going backwards. We're going to go, there's not going to be any songs after that album from here on in, and they kind of went backwards. And the span of their repertoire is so great, and they have so many great songs at every point of their career that it just filled the whole show. There wasn't any filler. They could have done a 7-hour show. It would have been amazing. But one song in particular that they did, which surprised me, and then it didn't surprise me, was this one, and it's a song called "Losing It." And this is a dark tune. This is a dark tune, especially within Neil's kind of writing style. And it raises a lot of very interesting philosophical questions. In essence, this song is talking about, contrary to Shakespeare's idea of "'tis better to have loved and lost," what Neil says in this song is, sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it. That's the key line in this thing, which is this interesting philosophical question, which leads to tons of conversation if you want to have it. But there's two protagonists in this song. There's a dancer and there's a writer, and the dancer's too old to dance anymore, and the writer's too old to write anymore, and they're basically at the end of their careers, or they're trying to grasp onto their careers, and it's gone. It's not happening. So it's a very sort of sad song. I mean, the song is called "Losing It." You could have called it anything. It's called "Losing It," which isn't in the lyrics anywhere. Kind of have this Hemingway thing, because the very last line is, "For you the blind who once could see, the bell tolls for thee." It's a very sad kind of idea. And here's this question: which is better? Which is better? To love and have lost than to never have loved at all? Or sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it? And I don't know where Neil would land in that conversation today or when he was still with us, but it was fascinating that they included this song in that last tour. And I think Neil, I like to think, I like to hope that Neil was insistent of like, this is the message I am sending to everyone. We're going to play this one more tour. I'm going to be 67 years old or whatever I am. I'm going to play these drum parts as best as I possibly can, and that'll be it. Because I don't want to be playing these drum parts at 70 and 75 and not doing a phenomenal job. And that's what they ended up doing. So this song really moved me when I saw it in concert. It is an interesting song in many ways. Number one, it's only 2 songs in the entire Rush catalog that feature another performer in a featured role, and it's Ben Mink. Ben Mink plays electronic violin on this. The other song, can anyone guess? What's the other song that features a non-Rush member in a important part? That's right. In the song "Time Stands Still," Amy Mann from Till Tuesday sings the chorus. Time stands still. That's Amy Mann. She's singing that. How cool is that? So Amy Mann and Ben Mink are the only 2 people that are sort of featured. There's string players and choir and things like that, but featured players. So Ben Mink plays the solo on this, and this is essentially a song that's in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's based around this kind of little 5-note pattern. So you're going descending through this E flat minor to F sharp over C sharp to B. Simple kind of thing, but because it's in 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of fun and funky. I can't sing and play it on piano, but I can sing and play it on guitar, so I'm going to do it here. There's a lovely thing that happens also. We go from E flat minor, which is all of these, E flat minor, till we go to major. And that changes the halfway through point of the song, and it's kind of lovely. Listen to these lyrics. They're sad, they're moving, they're interesting, and I'm going to try to play it as best as I possibly can. Here it is from 1982, originally featuring Ben Mink on electronic violin. This is called Losing It. Dancer slows a frantic pace in pain and desperation, aching limbs and downcast face aglow with perspiration. Stiff as wire, her lungs on fire with just the briefest pause, flooding through the memories, the echoes of old applause. the blind who once could see. Bell tolls for thee. Bell tolls for thee. Bell tolls for thee. I played that in college with a band called Different Strings. It was so much fun to play because not only is it in 5, but when you get to the violin solo, it's actually in 11. So you have bars of 6 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So much fun to play. So much fun to play. There it is. Where do you land in the conversation of this? What do you think? Is it better to have loved and lost, or is it sadder still to watch it die? And Neil, for sure, did not want to be an old man trying to play Tom Sawyer as best as he possibly could. And for as awful as his death and his passing is, the fact that he is enshrined on that last tour as being as great as he ever was is pretty wonderful. Pretty wonderful. Can't ask for much more than that within the pantheon of rock and roll, that's for sure. Song number 6 brings us to their final studio album, which is a record called Clockwork Angels, which I recommend highly. If you are a Rush fan from way back, and maybe you haven't listened to stuff since the 80s because they had keyboards or who knows what, Clockwork Angels is a heavy record. It's a concept record, which again, they hadn't done a concept album since Hemispheres, basically. 2112 is a famous concept record. Hemispheres, half the side is a story. And what I love about Clockwork Angels is it's not 2112 Part 2. It's not Hemispheres Part 2. It's fantasy, but it's steampunk, and the songs are they're great. They're great, and for a last album of a 40-year-old band to come up with this record, it's just wonderful. So there's a song on there I wanted to do. It's called B-U-2-B, or Brought Up to Believe. I think they just call it Brought Up to Believe, but on the title it's B-U-2-B. And it's a wonderful, angry, sort of pissed off lyric. Much simpler, not much structure to it. It's a much simpler structure. There's not tons and tons of lyrics. It's just a couple verses and a chorus. But basically saying, I was brought up, we were brought up to believe, and it's kind of all horseshit. It's kind of cool to have that still, even though Neil gets introspective and wants to wonder about the human condition, he still can get a little upset when dealing with themes of religion and themes of atheism and things like that. This was an interesting thing about Rush, is that they released this and another song called Caravan before they released the record, which they had never done before. They wrote these 2 tunes, kind of recorded them, released them as singles, and then 2 years later, a year and a half later, released the rest of the record, which was kind of cool. So it's there's a great quote, which I was reminded of Neil's. He said this, do yourself a favor. Don't ever say to me, everything happens for a reason. I thought that was good. He said this also, I sang the hymns, I read the Bible stories, but I was always perplexed, like, really? Jesus wants me for a sunbeam? For a what? That's our boy. That's our boy. So here it is from Clockwork Angels, 2010. This is called Brought Up to Believe. I was brought up to believe the universe has a plan. We are only human. It's not ours to understand. The universe has a plan. All is for the best. Some will be rewarded, and the devil will take the rest. All is for the best. Believe in what we're told. Blind man in the market, buying what we're sold. Believe in what we're told until our final breath, while our loving watchmaker loves us all to death. cut and thrust. I was always taught to trust. In a world where we all must fail, heaven's justice will prevail. The joy and pain that we receive, each comes with its own cost. The price of what we're winning is the same as what we've lost. All is for the best, believe in what we're told. Blind man in the market, buying what we're sold. Believe in what we're told until our final breath, while our loving watchmaker loves us all to death. Until our final breath, the joy and pain that we receive must be what we deserve. I was brought up to believe. Until our final breath, the joy and pain that we receive must be what we deserve. I was brought up to believe. Has a plan. We are only humans. It's not ours to understand. The universe has a plan. All is for the best. Some will be rewarded, and the devil will take the rest. All is for the best. Believe in what we're told. Blind man in the market, buying what we're sold. Believe in what we're told until our final breath, while our loving watchmaker loves us all to, loves us all to, loves us all to death. Our loving watchmaker loves us all to death. Oh, it's just, yes. It's so great to still have that, pull that out of your back pocket and be like, yep, yes, we can still do it. Still do it. So great. Check out that record. It's great because they have there's no keyboards on it. It's all guitar, bass, and drums. And there's an 8-piece, I think, string ensemble that plays as well. The Clockwork Angel strings. And it's really, really great. It's a really great record. There's a song on there, Headlong Flight, which it reinvigorated my joy of singing along at full voice in the car. I think it's one of the best tunes they've written in a decade, if not even more. It wouldn't work in this context. I almost did it, but it wouldn't work. But check out that song, Headlong Flight. Killer, killer, killer riff, killer singing. Super, super cool. All right, here we go. I wanted to end with this one, because it's another semi-heavy one, but it's kind of beautiful as well. And it's one of the band's favorites. It's one of Neil's favorites. And this is from the album Presto, which is an okay record. It's not a great record. The production is okay, but there's some lovely songwriting. There's a wonderful song called Anagram for Mongo, which is, the whole song is just anagrams. It's a really clever writing exercise, but it's kind of fun. But this is off Presto. This is called The Pass. And Neil wrote this after he and a friend had gone cycling, and the friend was talking about teen suicide. And Peart was kind of inspired by it, and it was a delicate subject, but he wanted to talk about it. And Neil said that if he was ever going to re-record an album, he would re-record Presto, mostly because he would want to take another shot at recording The Pass, because he liked it so much. This is another song that sort of quotes and modifies. It takes an Oscar Wilde quote. We're all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. That's from Lady Windermere's Fan, which is a play that Oscar Wilde wrote. Neil takes it and changes it. All of us do time in the gutter. Dreamers turn to look at the cars. All of us get lost in the darkness. Dreamers tend to steer by the stars, which is kind of nice. So he takes it, he's inspired by it, gives it his own little personal twist, and then he uses it. I have a quote here. Peart says he always gets emotional while playing this song, not only for what it expresses explicitly lyrically, but because it is one of our better crafted songs. It's quite a far road from We Are the Priests of the Temples of Syrinx. He also said this, I wanted to mention this before we finish. What is a master but a master student? And if that's true, then there's a responsibility on you to keep getting better and to explore avenues of your profession. Hear, hear, Neil, hear, hear. From 1989, the album Presto, dealing with suicide. This is called The Pass. Swagger out of the schoolyard, waiting for the world's applause. Rebel without a conscience, martyr without a cause. Static on your frequency, electrical storm in your veins. Raging in unreachable glory, straining at invisible chains. Now you're trembling on a rocky ledge, staring down into a heartless sea. Can't face life on a razor's edge. Nothing's what you thought it would be. All of us get lost in the darkness. Dreamers learn to steer by the stars. All of us do time in the gutter. Dreamers turn to look at the cars. Turn around and turn around and turn around. Turn around and walk the razor's edge. Don't turn your back and slam the door on me. As if this barricade blocks the only road. It's not as if you're all alone in wanting to explode. Someone said a bad example made surrender seem more right. The act of a noble warrior who lost the will to fight. And now you're trembling on a rocky ledge, staring down into a heartless sea. Done with life on a razor's edge. Nothing's what you thought it would be. All of us get lost in the darkness. Dreamers learn to steer by the stars. All of us do time in the gutter. Dreamers turn to look at the cars. Turn around and turn around and turn around. Turn around and walk the razor's edge. Don't turn your back and slam the door on me. Tragedy, no daring in your escape, no salutes to your surrender, nothing noble in your fate. Christ, what have you done? All of us get lost in the darkness. Dreamers learn to steer by the stars. All of us do time in the gutter. Dreamers tend to look at the stars. Turn around and turn around and turn around. Turn around and walk the razor's edge. Turn around and walk the razor's edge. Turn around and walk the razor's edge. There it is. 7 songs, ladies and gentlemen. Neil, thank you for a lifetime of inspiration and enjoyment. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to go over here if you want to throw some bucks over there. If you're new to the show, welcome. All the old shows are archived in the thing on the YouTube. I have a podcast called the Geologic Podcast where I often talk about Rush, occasionally talk about Rush and and cookies and shoes and all kinds of fun stuff like that. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I so appreciate it. If you can, throw some bread in the virtual hat. Thanks to Ms. Info for directing as ever. And thanks to you. Stay safe, and I'll see you at the next episode. We'll be back here in 2 weeks with some other fantastic theme. If you have an idea for a theme, send me an email, george@georgehrab.com. Maybe I'll pick your theme. I just might. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Geddy. Thanks, Alex, as well, of course. And, Greg, get better. I know he's ill. Get better. We'll see you soon. All right, guys.